Hey everybody, I'm Scott Weichel. You're listening to My Kind of Country on MKOCRadio.com. I'm very pleased to have this guest with me tonight. She has got a brand new album called The Country in Me, and she was raised on a ranch in southern Oklahoma and still lives there to this day. And so she is a true cowgirl without a doubt, and she's got a tremendously fantastic history and country music to talk with us about, and she's won numerous awards, and she is an author, and just a lot of great things. I'm so happy to have her on the show tonight. It's my pleasure to welcome Dawn Anita. Dawn Anita, how are you tonight?
Well, I am doing well, Scott, and I am just delighted to be able to talk to you today.
Well, I'm so glad to have you on the show. Thank you so much for sending me your new CD. It's absolutely fabulous. We're already playing songs for our listeners.
All right. Well, I have been receiving some really good reports, and I appreciate your support, Scott.
Well, it's well deserved. There's no doubt about it. Well, before we talk about this new album, I'd like to talk about your history a little bit. And I was reading some really cool things about you, that you worked for 5 years with the Texas Playboys.
Yes, that was early in my career, and I was lucky enough to be able to play with one of the greatest bands that's ever been, as the Texas Playboys. And I didn't realize at the time how lucky I was, but they're all awesome players. I think one of the guys, Leon Roush, I think he had a birthday not too long ago, and he turned 91, and he's still out there playing.
Yeah, he had a new album out recently too that was fantastic.
Oh yes, Leon's a great guy, and we had a lot of good times with all the guys that was at that time with the Texas Playboys.
Well, that's wonderful. Now, was Bob still alive at the time that you were with the
Yes, he was, but he was very ill. Mm-hmm. And actually, I played with the band, but Bob was so ill that he was not there at the time. I mean, he passed away shortly after I started performing with them. And I did a lot of those engagements with also with Bill Mack. And I know you know who he is.
You bet.
And so anyway, we performed all over Texas and Oklahoma and some of the surrounding states. And I'm telling you, I learned to love Western swing music during that period of time, because when the band would play, and before I would get up and do my set, and they played some great Western swing tunes that are still alive and going well today.
Oh, absolutely. What a great band. I mean, I can just imagine what it was like to be able to sing and have that kind of a band backing you up. That had to be just a tremendously wonderful thing.
It was, and I think about that very often, and how great it was to have such fantastic players and to work with such a great group of guys.
Absolutely. How did you come about getting to join that group?
Well, before I started singing professionally, I would go wherever I went to. I would ask to get up and sing, and I had a very close friend who knew Bob Wills, and we went down to the Stagecoach Inn in Fort Worth, which was a hot club at that time. And when we got there, Bob Wills was supposed to be there, but he was, like I said, he was very ill, and he was not with the band that night. And I didn't want to disappoint my friend, because my friend wanted me to get up and sing. So I asked the lead guitar player if I could, told him my story, and asked him if I could get up to perform. And he agreed to let me, even though they really didn't have people who sat in at this club on Saturday night when it was, the hottest club in the area. But he let me get up and sing, and he liked my singing. And in fact, he's one of the ones. He became my manager, and my very first recording, I recorded at his studio there in Fort Worth, and had a real success with a song that he had written at that time. And at that time, I had an offer. The song was called "Loneliness is a Poor Excuse for Love." and that it just went viral like it was on today on YouTube, but it just went, stations would pick it up, and I had an offer from RCA at the time to sign a contract, and I had all the session set, the songs picked, and was going to go to Nashville. And about 3 or 4 days before that happened, the guy called me, and he says, now you're going to be on the road 5 and 6 nights a week when we get your record out. And for some reason, I did not, I was playing every weekend, singing, but that hit me, and my kids we have a boy and a girl, and they were just getting into junior high, and they were in sports, and they were in music.
Yes, I understand.
And I turned down that contract because I wanted to watch my children grow up.
Good for you. Good for you.
Believe me, I've thought about it plenty of times and thought, now, did I make a mistake? Think of all the things I could have offered them, and then I always go back to thinking, but I couldn't have given them a hug every day.
That's right.
That's what I wanted.
That's right. You and I have that in common. Of course, I was on a smaller scale, but I had a band in the Midwest for about 25 years and toured all over. And my son, who is now in his mid-20s, I missed a lot of things when he was growing up because I was on the road so much. And a few years ago, about 4 years ago, I decided to stop doing that because I have a daughter who will be turning 13 next year. And
really?
And I'll tell you, I have had so much fun with her and so many wonderful things that I would have missed out on had I still been on the road like that. So I applaud you for it. I think that was the right thing to do.
Well, you definitely understand what I'm talking about then.
Yes, I do.
I love music, but I never gave up on, recording and writing songs and performing and, all of those things. It's just part of who I am.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you've got some great albums out there. I was looking at your website. You've got a truckin' CD, a gospel CD, Lady Elvis CD, and you also did an album with your sister, right?
Yes, that's right. And I was really proud to do that. My sister and I used to sing together when we were kids, and we'd get up in school and we'd sing. And so we decided that, hey, we can do an album, and we called it Together Forever. And so I'm proud that I did that. She's not really out there and wanting to perform or do any of that, but it was just a treasure we wanted to have for years to come.
Oh, absolutely. There's nothing better and closer than family harmony. There's just a chemistry there that you just can't get anywhere else.
That's true, and I sang later on with my nephew, and you might know who he is. That's Joe Diffie.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
And he sang in the first time he went on a show with me. He was playing. He was 14, and he was playing basketball. I got him off the basketball court and took him over to, it was a country club, and he had all of his songs lined out and what he was going to sing, and they were on a little music stand there. Well, unfortunately, that night, the fiddle player, and he was a great fiddle player, but he got a little too inebriated, and he knocked over that music stand, and my nephew, and I call him Joey, he said, what am I going to do, Aunt Anita? And I said, you're just going to have to remember those songs. We can't line them up again. And he did. I always told him he was going to be a star, and he proved me right.
He sure did. He has one of the most spectacular voices in country music. And every time he does a kind of a ballad song, I heard him do Behind Closed Doors one time, and I think it was the best version I'd ever heard of that song. He's just such a tremendous singer.
Telling you, he does that on his shows a lot, and he has, like you say, he is a phenomenal vocalist and also a really great guy not just because he's my nephew, but because it's true.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, your new album is just absolutely awesome. We've already been playing some of the songs on our station. It's called The Country and Me. And, folks, you can go to dawnanita.com. We will have that information on our Facebook page and get this new album. Not only that, but her wonderful other albums that she has in her book and everything, which we'll also want to talk about that, too. Getting into the album a little bit, you wrote the lion's share of the songs on this project.
Yes, I did. There was 2 or 3 songs that I wanted to do that were cover songs, but I wanted it to, kind of show my songwriting ability, and there were certain songs that I thought needed to be written, so I did them.
Well, one of the songs you did on here is my absolute Bob Wills and Texas Playboys, my all-time favorite song that they did, Faded Love. You did a stellar job on this.
Well, I thank you very much. That is one of the songs that I would always sing with the Texas Playboys, and of course I sang it down through the years, and I still sing it today, and I thought, well, I really never have recorded it, so I decided it was time to put it on my album, and that was one of the cover songs I really wanted to do, and the musicians just did a fabulous job.
You got some great pickers on this project.
Well, I'll tell you, I record down in Garland, Texas, and there's a guy named Milo Deering, and I know that some of your fans, music listeners, will know who he is. He is such a fabulous player, and he played the majority of the lead instruments. He played everything except the bass and the keyboard and the drums. He put on the lead, he put on the steel, he put on the dobro, he put on the mandolin, he put on the fiddle, and actually he's the one who played the flute in the song called Oklahoma Stud.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
He had been practicing on the flute for about 6 months, and he brought it to the session that day, and so we were just getting through. We got the basic tracks down for Oklahoma Stud, and he just was messing around in the studio, and I said, hey, Milo, we're putting that on this song. It sounds perfect for it. And so we did, and we've had some really good response to that.
Oh, that's great. Well, I know that you were born and raised around horses, and you still are around horses. I see the pictures on the back cover, and several of the songs kind of pay tribute to that. You did a great version of Tennessee Stud, which was obviously a huge hit for Eddie Arnold. Jimmy Driftwood wrote the song, and you wrote one called Tennessee Walker.
Yes, I did. I have a friend who was a guitar player in the band for a long, long time, and he's always calling and giving me some ideas, and he gave me the idea for Tennessee Walker, and he says, now, I don't want my name on it. I don't want any credit. I know you're a good writer, and you write it. And I tell you, it just inspired me, and it's a song that will pull at your heartstrings from, start to finish. It's a little longer than most of the songs I put on there, but it's a story that I thought was really worth telling.
Absolutely. 14 songs on this great project. You can get the album at dawnanita.com, and it's on Free Country Records, and they also have their website as well, freecountryrecords.com. And you can read more about that, of course. And Dawn Anita, tell me about the title song.
The what?
The title song for your album, The Country in Me.
Oh, the title song,
Yes.
The Country in Me. Well, me and my good friend, Bonnie Bishop, who I've written songs with before, of course, we go back. We're old school. We like the traditional country sound. And so we were talking on the telephone. He actually lives in Tulsa and part-time in Nashville. And we were talking about songs from this project. And I was trying to come up with maybe some songs about on the trail or something along that line, and something that I said triggered an idea in his head, and then he sent me a couple of things that he had for an idea, and we actually wrote it via telephone. He would come up with a couple of things, I would come up with a couple of things, and then he has this little program that he can record things on his phone, and he sent it to me, and I'd make some changes. So I loved the song, and after we got done, I said, that's got to be the title to this album, because it portrays really what I'm all about. It's not only Western, and I am a true cowgirl and have been for all of my life, but it also it is country, and I've sang country, traditional country music all of my life. And so I just felt it needed that real traditional country sound, and Milo, he fixed it up just perfect.
He sure did. He sure did. There's no doubt about that. You know, yodeling has made a big comeback in the last few years. I'm sure you probably have heard of Kristen Harris, who's a beautiful...
Oh, listen, I met Kristen in Fort Smith when we were at the awards show there for the PCCAA Country Music Awards. And, I love her. I fell in love with her, but I was already a fan, but she's such a sweet gal. She can do that yodeling for sure.
She sure
can.
And,
of course, I've yodeled all my life, and that song that's on my album called Yodel Lady He is one I wrote specifically because I'd go around with my dad when I was a little kid. We'd be riding horses, or actually riding sometimes in the pickup checking cattle, and he'd always be singing and yodeling, and so I wrote that song. It inspired me to write that song.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, Kristen's great. She's been on my show a couple times. My daughter absolutely loves her, and she goes around trying to yodel and sing her songs.
Well, I can understand why, because Kristen is a great talent, and it was just indeed a privilege for me to get to know her and be around her. You know, we were there 3 days for the show, and she is really a great gal. And I'm a young gal like that, staying true to what country's all about and singing those Western songs. I'm so proud that young people are really following along and getting tuned into that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you've won a lot of awards, and my gosh, you won a songwriting contest with a song called Cheatin' List that went to #2 overseas. You were Female Vocalist Entertainer of the Year at the Oklahoma Opry, Female Vocalist at KLAW Radio, and you had the honor of being Miss Senior Oklahoma of America in 2017. That's a really cool thing.
Oh, that was wonderful. Let me tell you, Scott, I just had such an enjoyable time being Miss Senior Oklahoma. I've never been what you considered a pageant girl, but my husband said, well, you need to enter that. He said, you qualify. And I said, oh, I don't know whether I could do that or not. Well, I entered and I won, and I think that my music helped along with that title, and I think that title also helped my music. I met so many wonderful people, and so many ladies who have reached what they call the age of elegance, which is past the age of 60. They just really were terrific people, and I had a wonderful time during my reign as Miss Senior Oklahoma.
Oh, that's great. Well, on my reading list for this winter, I always have a winter reading list, as we do a lot of reading here in the winter. We're up in Michigan, so we get a lot of snow, and it's a good time to sit down and read. Is a book that you've written called One More Last Chance.
Oh, yes, and I think you will enjoy that very much. I never thought, I was a song, always I've written songs. It's just part of what I do. And I thought, well, I know this story needs to be told, and my husband and I have had a very unique life, and we also, the ending of this, in this book, is when we rode our horses from Oklahoma to Nashville. It took us 24 days to get there, and 22 days it rained on us.
Oh my gosh.
It was a wonderful journey, but one I never will forget, but one I really wouldn't recommend. We didn't have anyone following us on horseback or with pickups or a caravan or anything. It was just my husband and I on our two horses, and at that time we owned quarter horses, and they were both quarter horses, but it's a whole different story going down the highway on two quarter horses when they're used to working cattle out in the pasture. So we had quite an adventure, and I think you will enjoy the book. I think I've had a lot of people, in fact, I've had a little bit of interest. It hasn't happened, and it may not happen, that they wanted to either make a TV movie or a regular movie because it's such a, our story is pretty interesting. It's my pursuit in country music and also the struggles and my husband and I had and where all we lived and everything that we did, and I called it One More Last Chance because I had, when I was in my what they call prime years, I had so many offers from various, not just the RCA contract, but I had so many offers for success in country music. But I am where I am because of the choices I made, and I'm proud of my choices, and I'm proud of being able to still be in the music field and getting my music heard out there in radio land because of people just like you, Scott.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to hearing about that. That's quite a story. What made you decide to go on that adventure?
Well, my husband and I had some real financial problems, and we had always talked about, well, we wanted to take a long trip on horseback, and we thought, okay, we're just going to do it. We need to get away from our troubles and everything that was happening. And let me tell you something, it worked. We didn't have time to think about our financial troubles. We thought every day about survival and how we were going to make it on horseback.
Wow. That's something else. I encourage my listeners to pick that up. That sounds like a very fascinating book. I'm looking forward to reading that. And,
well, thank you.
Folks, you can go to dawnanita.com and get the book there, and of course the brand new album, The Country and Me, and we are going to play some of those great songs for you right now. And Dawn, Anita, thank you so much for taking time to be on the show. I sure enjoyed talking with you.
Well, I've enjoyed it very much, Scott, and thank you so very much for your support.
All right. You stay in touch, and anything I can do to help promote, you just let me know.
I will. You take care.
All right. Here is some great music from Dawn Anita's brand new album, The Country and Me. Again, it's dawnanita.com, and we're going to play some of those great songs for you as we continue with My Kind of Country right here on mkocradio.com.
I sure do miss that country song, the way we used to sing along about life, love, and living, right or wrong. Just a simple melody, words about reality. I want to hear that song again for the country in me. I sure do miss that country beat that always went down to my feet. We danced and held each other and fell in love. And life was oh so sweet. Real country music made our world complete. I want to hear that song again for the country in me. Where has country music gone? I never hear it in a song. Where is Loretta Lynn or George Jones? Today's music, there's no doubt, they don't know what country's about. I wanna hear that song again for the country in me. Oh, the way it used to be. You'd have the band play a song for me, like Waltz Across Texas or Sweet Memories. No other sound can make you feel quite like the fiddle and the steel. I wanna hear that song again for the country in me. Where has country music gone? I never hear it in a song. Where is Loretta Lynn or George Jones? Today's music, there's no doubt, they don't know what country's about. I wanna hear that song again for the country in me. I wanna hear that song again for the country in me. He ambles down the hall, thinking about a lonesome whippoorwill, reminiscing about the time he'd ride his horse over a hill, just to find a little doggie in bad need of attention. There were always problems with the herd, too many things to even mention. Hard times as a young cowboy brought back fond memories. He longed to ride the trail again, hear the wind blowing through the trees. He thought about his bragging days, how he was gonna ride a Tennessee Walker. He had all the wranglers laughing at him, saying, yeah, he's just a big talker. Well, back in the day, he'd rope a green bronc, catch him right up out of the remuda, always wishing he was riding a Tennessee Walker across some plush Bermuda. Now he strolls down the hall, no one's listening to this big talker. He's holding on to handles instead of reins of his new Tennessee Walker. But this Tennessee Walker won't take him where he really wants to go. He won't be riding across the plains or competing in a show. It'll take him back to his room. He'll sit alone thinking about the past and find it somewhat amusing how he got his Tennessee Walker at last. Riding the range was never easy. Long days spent in the saddle, It was a way of life that he loved, out there tending cattle. Now he gets up each day, sits there and waits, knowing his time is short. He's waiting to walk through those pearly gates. Well, one day the angels show up. He says, well, it's about time. He's ready to find his way home, ride that big trail in the sky. Well, lo and behold, they show up with a Tennessee walker. He carries him through those gates in style, and no one's laughing now at this big talker. And this Tennessee walker will take him anywhere he wants to go. Once again he'll ride across the plains and compete in another show. He'll see his pals again, he won't be alone, thinking about the past. He'll be right where he belongs, riding his Tennessee walker at last. He'll be right where he belongs, riding his Tennessee walker at last. I remember my daddy singing to me. I loved it when he'd sing, yodelay. I knew right then I wanted to be a star. I'd sit and practice singing, yodeling by the hour. Yodelay, oh, dee, yodelay, oh, yo, dee, yodelay, oh, I married this cowboy when I was just a girl. I still believed I'd make my impression on the world. The babies came along, I was busy as could be. I wondered if I'd have the time, yodelay, yodelay, yo, yo, yodelay, yo, yo, yodelay, yo, yodelay. Well, I've never given up on this dream that I had. I remember all those old songs I learned from my dad. I still hear him singing, saying to me, go show them, girl, you're yodelay. Yodel, oh, dee, yodel, yo, yo, dee, I know somewhere there's a place for me, somewhere I can sing my old lady. Oh, yo, yo, dee, oh, yo, yo, dee, oh, yo, 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 dee, oh, yo, yo, dee, oh, yo, yo, dee, oh, yo, 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 dee, oh, let it be, oh, dee, oh, let it be, let it be, oh, dee, let it be. Hi, dee, oh, let it be. Howdy,